Interesting as this bill is, we saw during the debate that there was one dissenting voice in the chamber, and that is Senator Titus Zam. He was opposing it and saying, given it could be compromised. Do you also think that this is an issue that should be considered?
Well, I think he did not understand initially what the bill was all about. He thought, he was thinking maybe those that are essential workers are not supposed to vote, because he felt maybe there would be double, they are supposed to ensure the sanctity of the election. So they are supposed to be non-partisan, but that is not the case. The Constitution gives every Nigerian over the age of 18, the opportunity to cast his vote. So the fact that I'm an ad hoc worker does not mean I don't have somebody in mind to vote for. So he misunderstood the bill, and if you hear the debate, even the Senate President, the President of the Senate then, who presided, drew his attention to the fact that we are talking about those essential workers on election day. So he felt that, for example, INEC officials are not supposed to vote because they are not, that they should be impartial. But it is their constitutional right to vote. And impartial in the sense that how? If you go to the polling unit, there's no way any of the workers can influence the results of the election, because Nigerians are there to vote. So they also have their right to vote.
I want us to dwell on this other aspect. In the last election, we're supposed to have this electronic transmission. Now, is that aspect being dealt with now? That we're going to, I know after, during the election, results are uploaded, and also when it now comes to the aspect of the counting, sorting and the counting of the votes, does the law, the present law, do you need an amendment to accommodate that aspect so that we don't just depend on manual? We don't resort back to manual, having done electronic transmission, then we just have that also, the online vetting of the votes.
Yes, we are working on that, on the electronic voting. But we cannot also discount, the manual, because if anything goes wrong, considering the situation in Nigeria today, for example, if you don't have light, how do you transmit the results? So you have to rely on the manual. So the manual will still be important, but what we hope to do is to ensure that the electronic voting takes place. So we are working on that.
Okay.
You also mentioned that you were in South Africa to monitor their last election. What are the important innovations besides early voting that you feel is worth considering in our own elections?
Yes, I think one of the innovations I think is worth considering is the fact that INEC will have to be more transparent, because what I saw there, the platform and software used by the electoral body in South Africa, they call upon political parties to come and inspect the software itself, the algorithm used in the software. So they call their computer experts to check, and that gives confidence and transparency to the system. So I think it's important for INEC to look into that, so that whatever platform they are using, let the political parties have the confidence by sending their own computer experts to check. Of course, thereafter, the algorithm can always be changed to ensure that, hacking does not take place. But that is one innovation that I saw, and I think is very important, because it will give more confidence, to political parties and to Nigerians as well.
Okay, let me just a bit go away from this amendment and order. You're a politician also. Ahead of the 2027 election, there's been a lot of alignment and realignment of political forces. Now, what are your thoughts on these movements up and down? And also, Nigerians will say that political parties seem not to have ideology. Everybody move from party A to party B and all that.
Well, yes, I'm a politician, but I think I would say it's not time for that. But, you know, in politics, everybody, you know, looks at what his interest is, and he pursues that interest. But as for me, we have work to do to ensure that we do what we are voted for, and when the time comes for politics, we put up, you know, a scoreboard for the voters to look at.
I'll bring you back to the bill. Do you expect that if this bill is passed, it will immediately become law? That is, it will get presidential assent?
By the grace of God, I believe the president will assent to the bill if it gets to him, because he's a believer of democracy, and I know he's working hard to ensure that you know, our election, you know, becomes more transparent, and so Nigerians have confidence in democracy as a whole. So I believe the president will assent to the bill.
And just like my colleague said, ahead of the 2027 general elections, you are the chairman of the Senate Committee, of the Committee of Northern Governors, Northern Senators Forum yes. in the National Assembly. There seems to be a bit of, you know, whispers here and there about, you know, the North's feel to the present administration. Can you give us an insight into that? What is the pulse of the North?
Well, mostly I wouldn't say there's a pulse, but what I think is the policies of the government, some of the policies that have been taken have caused some hardship, I would say. And of course, the government is doing something, you know, to ensure that, you know, such hardship, you know, is dealt with completely. It is normal in democracy. This is the first government that has taken very tough decisions, which were not taken before. And every government that comes, you know, they shy away from, you know, the challenges that, you know, the nation is facing. So Nigerians, for the first time, you know, are seeing a president who has taken very tough decisions, you know, to ensure that future generations do not suffer. So what I will say here is, you know, to call on Nigerians and to plead with them, you know, to give this president the opportunity to bring Nigeria back on track, and that is what he's doing. So it is important, because we that are doing whatever we are doing today to ensure Nigeria moves forward, we have to sacrifice, and that is the most important thing for Nigerians to do, so that our future generations will have a place. See what is happening in the world today. All countries are trying to lock up their borders, you know, in respect of immigration. And you see the president of the United States today even stopping certain, you know, foreign aids coming to Africa and other countries. So we have to look inward. We have to ensure we do, you know, things that will bring Nigeria back on track. And remember, African countries are looking up to Nigeria for leadership. And that is why this president is working 24/7, you know, to ensure that Nigeria gets back on track. So I would just plead with Nigerians to give the president an opportunity. These are hard decisions, and they have to be taken, and he has taken them. And you can see the results today. You know, the Naira is going down, the exchange rate. You can see the result in terms of even food prices. They are coming down. You know, so these policies are, you know, leaders are meant to take hard decisions. And this is what Mr. President is doing, and I think we should commend him for that.
Okay. There was a time that people see the North as a very strong political group. You lead a northern group also in the National Assembly. Would you say that the North still speaks with one voice as it used to? Because we've seen some persons going out and seem to be saying, look, we're speaking for the North. Do you think the North still speaks with one voice?
Well, no, politics is dynamic. You know, everybody has his interest. But when the time comes, the North will speak. just like it did in 2023, when the North, rallied behind Mr. President. So when the time comes, of course, they will look at what he has done, and they will speak, I believe, with one voice. But of course, you always find opposition here and there. It's normal in democracy. But on the whole, I believe, with the performance of Mr. President, I think by the grace of God, the North will look at what he has done. It's the time that when something happens like this, results do not come immediately. It takes time, especially when a nation goes through what we have gone through. It takes time for you to see the benefits of what government is doing. But we thank God we are already seeing some of the benefits. So I believe when the time comes, Nigerians will look at that and they will be fair to Mr. President.
Okay. Now, let me also still stay on this particular issue. The history of the North speaking with one voice. If you look at the statistics today, they will say the North is one of the most underdeveloped parts of Nigeria when you talk about education, living standard and all that. Does it bother you as a Northerner that the years of speaking with one voice, how has that impacted on the development of the North?
Well, of course, it bothers me and it bothers Northerners, especially the elites and the politicians. But of course, the governors are doing their best to ensure that, these areas you are talking about, the sectors of education, the issue of poverty, are being dealt with. Now they have more money than before. And kudos must be given to Mr. President, for helping, through these policies to make more money available. And every state you go today, you see a lot of, developments in the areas of education and even in the security sector. I saw yesterday the governor of Borno State giving out over 150 security vehicles to the police. And I think about 240 houses built for them. So they are working hard, to ensure these areas, these sectors you are talking about, are being developed to ensure that even the Almajiris, their number have reduced now. A lot of them are now back, in school as a result of the policies of both federal and state governments. So it's a work in progress. Once you have a decline, it takes time, to deal with it.
All right, we've seen alignments and realignments, especially in the Senate chamber. We see that your R is growing. It has even generated a little spark in the chamber, but I would not dwell on that. I would like to know, does it signal that it seems your party is doing the right thing, or those that are shifting into your campaign just be looking for something to fuel, their political interests?
Well, we are doing well in the Senate as far as I'm concerned. And we are one body of senators. We have the president of the Senate, whom, we have confidence in. We are doing our best. So, of course, in politics, you will always find this dissenting voice. But so far, so good. Even those in opposition within the Senate, we are just one body.
All right. We must thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua, it was a pleasure talking to you this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.